spiritual sickness. There are three. Triple spiritual sickness. One is lust of the flesh. Next, lust of the eyes. Pride of life. Triple spiritual sickness. The only way we can conquer this triple spiritual sickness is through contrite, humble heart. This is what we need to conquer this. Contrite, you know what contrite means? We are repentant, humble. Almost every week I talk about being humble. Almost every week. Contrite, humble heart. Jesus says, "For I am meek and humble of heart." So we pray to Jesus, make our hearts be like unto thine, meaning meek and humble of heart. So Christ's power is stronger. Ask this from Jesus, and you can conquer all these three. You can conquer these three. That's the meaning of number one. Number two. Well, there's something before we leave number one. There's something, remember the centurion said, which we say before we receive Holy Communion. "Lord, I'm not worthy to have you come under my roof." Those were the very words of the centurion in the Bible. "Lord, I'm not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only say the word, and my servant shall be healed." That's why we remind ourselves that before we receive Holy Communion in the Mass. Number two, revealing our weaknesses. Just say nothing is impossible to God for number two. Nothing is impossible. You remember what in the book of Mark, when we were doing the book of Mark, the first 9 chapters of Mark, Jesus performed many miracles there, especially in Mark chapter 2. In Mark chapter 2, that's when he healed the sick, healed the leper, that's when he forgave sins. That's when he forgave the paralytic in Mark chapter 2. So you see here, the detailed account. Nothing is impossible to God. Number 3, go and sin no more. What does this mean? After the Mass, what does the deacon or the priest say? Go in peace to love and to serve the Lord. That's number 3. Go in peace and proclaim to the world. Go in peace. How do we proclaim to the world? If ever I'll be blessed enough by God to become a deacon, I will never say the Mass is ended. I will never say that. You know why? Because the Mass really never ends. It never ends. In fact, you got your nourishment in the Mass. Now go in peace. Go in peace and proclaim to the world. That's the meaning of number 3. Go and sin no more. So, a lot of people don't realize it. Because normally people are started to wearing jackets during winter time. They start wearing the jackets before the final blessing. And some of them try to get a bulletin or whatever. Or secure their bags, their belongings. The Mass is ended, let's go in peace. Some people, the Mass is ended, go in peace. Not good. Better say that, don't say, I will never say God, the Mass is ended.
Isn't it that they read everything?
No. No, there's just suggested, words. But the Mass is ended is not a good thing. It's not one of them. Because people are thinking, that's it. I'm done. I'm out of the church, and where do we go? Movie house? We go to the mall? Atlantic City? The Mass is ended. Come on, let's go. We need to go to... I don't want to say it now. You see, that's why it's not good to say the Mass is ended. Go in peace. To love and to serve the Lord is beautiful.
How about if we say the Mass has ended and the service begins?
I hope people will understand that. Because that's what... Oh, it's in the other side. I wrote the word service. Right? Service is a key to evangelization. It's not what you say. I love what Saint Francis says. By the way, Saint Francis is an ordained deacon of the church. Did you know that? He was not a priest. He was a deacon. And he said, preach. And when necessary, use words. In other words, when you preach, you don't really use words. When you preach by your actions, by your life. That's real preaching. You only use words when necessary. Like now. So I use words. So go in peace and proclaim to the world. Love and serve the Lord and one another is the best thing to say. But I hope people are still listening. But they're busy, especially when the procession, right? There you go. And some people are even ahead of the procession. They just go ahead. And then, during the beginning of the Mass, you see the crucifix, and then the priest. And then after the priest, you say, that's it. No, you got the latecomers coming, walking in the aisle and looking for seats. Those are wrong practices. Anyway, the Mass is never ended. We must go in peace, to love and to serve the Lord and one another. That's the complete thing to say. Your attending the Mass has no meaning if you do not know, if you do not love and serve the Lord and one another. Believe me. It's a good nourishment Because we actually receive the body, blood, soul, divinity of Jesus Christ. But we must know and love and serve the Lord and one another. That's the key. That's number 3. Wednesday, that's the Bible study materials you have. Greater deeds still. Number 1, like Father, like Son. You just put your total respect and love between the Father and the Son. That's a common term here, like Father, like Son. There's a word I will tell you now. This word. Fight. What does this word mean? But there's a deeper meaning of piety. I know it's a ministry in BLD, especially in LSS. What does this word mean?
Holiness.
But it's all general. Let's be specific. I can tell you what it is after I tell you what it does. What piety does. Piety, number 1, lavishes our soul. It's a good thing, therefore, because it lavishes our soul. But in what way? In looking God as our Father, our neighbors, as our brothers. So the key to piety is God is your Father and everybody is your brother and or sister. Everybody. No exception. That's the key to piety. I can understand holiness, but holiness is too general. This is more specific. This is what piety. Okay? Now this is a gift. This is a gift from God. It's a gift from God. The one fruit of piety, one fruit is a forgiving heart. When somebody curses at you, uttered all kinds of profanity against you, can you readily forgive? Can you? One fruit of piety is forgiving heart. I think it's the first time I talk about piety. Number 2, the requirements of piety. It's very Okay, the requirements of piety, just right here. Our duty is to treat everyone. Our duty is to treat everyone with respect and love. If we can treat everybody with respect and love, chances are we are given the gift of piety. When you treat everyone with respect and love, it will foster your gift of piety. Remember, it's a gift from God. Number 3, humility is the key. Are you ready for number 3? Have you heard of people who complain about other people all the time? They badmouth everybody else but themselves. Have you heard people like that? When they open their mouth, somebody is always wrong. Somebody is always at fault. Somebody is always have done something not good. There are people like that. Do you know that those people are not humble? Because how can you tell when a person is humble? Believe it or not, only the humble can live with any kind of people. Unless you're humble, you cannot do that. It's a new insight into humility. I need to erase. Can I erase this?